international postgrad. I was the recipient of the first Entrepreneurship Student of the Year award. I was the Entrepreneurship Pitch Contest winner of the first year, an emerging student leader, dance team, captain, and the list goes on. I was very involved on campus, but I feel like my heart was with Entrepreneurship Club and the program the entire time.
Yeah, Sydney was truly a leader on campus. Thank you very much. So I'd like, if possible, Josh, could you maybe share a little bit about your business and yourself?
Yes. Hi, how's everyone doing? I'm Joshua Dezil. I'm class of 2021, so this is my junior year. I'll be graduating next year. I'm a business major, entrepreneurship minor, and I am the winner of the pitch contest. I believe 2 years ago I won, so 2018 I won the pitch contest. And I'm the owner of JD Bundles. JD Bundles was established in 2017, which was my senior year of high school. I basically, well, the business is a hair selling business. I sell weave, hair extensions to women. And how I got this idea was I used to go around the school joking to the girls I knew, hey, if I started selling bundles, would you buy from me? And, you know, everyone being your friend tell you, yeah, I'll buy from you. Yeah, I'll buy from you. So I guess they didn't take me serious. So I started the company. And then 7 months went by, no one bought hair from me. But 3 years later, because I'm 3 years in the business, it turned out to be a huge success. And hopefully more years to go. Yeah.
Great, Josh. Great. What I want to say about Josh is he's really developed an international supply chain, which I think he'll talk a little bit about later. But when we think about being 18 and 19 years old and developing an international supply chain, that's something that's, I think, really critical to consider about what Josh has been able to achieve in his short time in business, but also at his age. Thank you. And if I could ask Katherine to share about herself and her business.
Hi, my name is Katherine. My business is Department Dyubo. It's an e-commerce site for women's clothing and accessories. I've only been in business for 6 months. So that's kind of the backstory of my business, but I'm a management major, economics minor in the honors program at SFC, graduating next year as well.
Great. Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about the items that you are selling currently on your site? And maybe you can talk about how you're actually linking academics and your business together.
So right now I have a large mix. Like I have dresses, women's dresses, you know, shorts, tops. But this semester I'm writing a paper on customer discovery. So I've been running a lot of Instagram ads and using the feedback, you know, based on location, gender, age, all that good stuff, to see, you know, to sort of narrow down my target market, and see how I can better get, you know, products that they would like more.
Mm-hmm. And then you also were, if I'm correct, didn't someone find you as a Hispanic entrepreneur or something like that?
Yeah. So I've seen a growing sort of following of like women in business and then Latinas in business. So this page reached out to me, and their following at the time was like 500 followers, but it was still cool. I was featured as the first like shout out. They do it weekly for different Latinas in business. So that helps me get a following, and it's cool because a lot of the stuff you need to do is like you need to get more likes and comments because that'll get you seen more. And everybody there is super supportive. Every time I post something, like it can be a meme, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's so funny." So it's cool. You start like a little community like that.
That's great. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Daniel, if you could share a little bit about yourself and your connection to St. Francis.
Yes, I'm going to be graduating in the springtime, so 2020. I'm a business management major and an entrepreneur minor. So about Colorway, we started in 2018, so about 2 to 3 years, roughly around that. The story behind Colorway is that me and my 4 friends from high school, we just had an aspiration to do business and branch off into try to make something that we could all do while we go through college and do our different careers. So Colorway was one of them. The messaging and the meaning behind Colorway was to bring all races and all colors and creeds together through clothing. So all different races and, you know, stuff like that. Because the background is I'm Jamaican, my other 4 friends, he's Indian, the other one's Egyptian, and the other one's Italian. So all of us have different cultures, different ideas pulling into one for colorway. And that's how the brand started to get its name and recognition from our diverse things. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions because you didn't mention it. So what are some of the successes of colorway? I know you had some fashion, you were involved in some fashion shows, and you've sold out on a lot of products. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so
challenges of production.
Yeah, so one of the main successes of colorway is that we were in a couple fashion shows. We won a couple awards for our looks and our brands.
Be specific. Which awards?
We were in a fashion show for one of my friend's colleges. I think it was Stony Brook. Stony Brook was holding a fashion show, so we went there. We presented our models and our brand for our first drop for colorway, which is called Infinite but Definite. And then we were able to win an award for that, and we proceeded to sell out most of our first drop in about, I would say, a month, and the second drop we sold out in about 2 months. And now currently we are doing our third drop, which is just windbreakers and water bottles, and we are currently like almost understocked with that one too.
Okay, great. And then you still have some more stuff with school. So
yes. Yeah.
I'm going to point out something you might not point out. So Daniel's a bit of a legacy in the entrepreneurship club. His brother was the founding president of the club, I think back in 2015 or something like that. So we don't want to give a shout out to Corey Fisher as the founding president. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about maybe an award you're winning?
Yes. So Sydney mentioned she was the first recipient of the first Entrepreneur Student of the Year award. And this coming Friday, I'll be the second one to win that award. So I'm very excited for it and very honored to receive this award, and very super excited.
Wow, so that's great. Thank you so much. So I'm going to just move on to our first question. So a crisis like the one we're currently experiencing requires quick thinking in the face of uncertainty. However, with such high stakes on the line, entrepreneurs find themselves dealing with analysis paralysis or the inability to make a decision due to overthinking. So my question, and we're going to start with Sydney, is how are you currently approaching decision-making regarding building your brand? And are you moving forward as planned, or have you pulled back due to COVID-19?
Okay. I feel like personally, I have taken this pandemic and this tragic experience that's happening as a great thing for my business, both businesses. I've been very aggressive in the photography business. I was literally sitting at home one day and I was like, I have no bookings. Like bookings have stopped completely because people are like, oh my gosh, like, senior is, and my target market primarily is high school seniors. So, they're bummed out about not being able to go to prom. They're bummed out that they don't have to, they're not going to be able to hang out with their friends, have all the senior experiences. So I was like, what can I do that's safe that could, still make me some money? So I thought about social distancing photography, and that's exactly what I did. And I reached out to a lot of people and I told them, like, we don't have to touch. Thank God for Cash App and Venmo. I don't have to do the touch-to-touch money exchange. And it was just 30 minutes. I live in Texas, so there's a lot of open land where there's not a lot of people. And just a 30-minute session, and they got their pictures. And I highlighted, a lot of girls were upset that they brought prom dresses and weren't able to wear their prom dresses to prom. So I did prom sessions. And it's just different things like that to really tackle that issue head on. And with the social media world, as an influencer, your job is to get a product that's extremely bland and make it super creative and, make it appealing to your following. So with that being said, a lot of brands, not gonna lie, did drop me because a lot of brands did face a lot of issues when it came to money and budget and all of those things. But a lot of brands were like, okay, we need as much help as possible. For example, I work with Fashion Nova and Rue 21. These are a lot of brands that don't have storefronts that operate all online, so that was a benefit for them. And so what I had to do was I was able to kind of have a little bit of time to sit back and analyze what exactly I want to do. So with me having this time off, a lot of you may not know, but I am an entrepreneurship, but I also work for the Houston Astros as well. So I was off from work there, and I finally had the time to sit down and be like, okay, what do I need to do, and what can I do to grow my following and grow my engagement and get more brand deals? And so with that being said, I noticed that I was able to look through my social media platform and say, okay, you're getting all of this clothing, and you're posting it, and it's like, it's just the same thing back to back. And I was like, this is why my engagement hasn't been so well lately. So I was able to really analyze what was going wrong, what I was doing right. And I have a really, really cool story that I want to share with you guys. I got really creative in some of the ideas that I was doing, and I actually, during this quarantine, yesterday got posted on the Shade Room for a video that I made. It was so out of my comfort zone. It was something that I was really like, oh, I don't know if I'll do this. I'm not really into videos, especially on my Instagram platform. And I did it, and I went out of my comfort zone. I was creative. I tried something new, which I feel like if you're an entrepreneur at this moment, you should definitely do. And now I jumped 30,000 followers, and I've gotten so many amazing new deals and interview requests and all of these different things. So I really suggest for you guys to be aggressive in this time during this pandemic, and really take the time to step back and analyze how your business is now, how you would like to improve it, and how you would like to see it in the future. And that's it.
Great. That was really incredible, Sydney. And I really thank you for sharing that, and excited about you going forward in a strategic manner. I'd like to move on to Daniel. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, one more time.
Okay. How are you currently approaching decision-making regarding building your brand? Are you moving ahead as planned, or have you pulled back due to COVID-19?
For Colorway, we've been moving ahead as planned. Production hasn't really slowed down that much, but we've been getting more orders and more sales. Basically business as usual. But for prioritizing time and everything like that, we've been thinking about starting a new phase of Colorway. So we wanted to start with clothing, but we also had in mind of building and branching off into different aspects of media and entertainment. So right now we're building up a blog and a radio station for Colorway during this time, and where the first process was the radio. So we have 3 episodes up right now for Colorway Radio, and it's on SoundCloud. You can go to colorway.com. It's under our radio tab link. And slowly we're going to be progressing into blogging and information giving of Colorway. But right now for clothing, everything's business as usual. Everything's running smoothly. It's just that during this time, we wanted to create something new for Colorway, just to get in more people, make everything fun, and have a broader aspect of Colorway.
Great, thank you, Daniel. So it's really exciting that you're actually going ahead with some new brand extensions. Very, very smart, especially because they seem to be digital.
Right.
Which, as we're all trapped in our homes, that's the only thing we have, right?
Right.
New content, interesting content. Please do share the link with me. I like to see that, because I'm tired of. I've run out of movies on Amazon myself. Thank you. So
no problem.
I'm sorry. I'd like to move on to Josh. Would you like me to reread the question?
No, it's fine. At JD Bundles, I'll say I pulled back and also moved forward. I say pulled back because a lot of things were canceled for my company, like this year. There was no spring break, so no girls were buying hair for spring break to go away. There was no Easter. There was no Easter sales I was able to do. As Sydney said, there's no prom this year, so I cannot sell to high school kids this year. There's no graduation for high school or college. So I pulled back on certain things. So I decided to plan ahead as far as just the brand, focus more on the brand and rebuilding, adding new things. So when this whole madness is over, I will display new things, have everything out. So by summertime, the brand to be better and bigger. I also had plans this month in May to open up a location. I actually found the location, had the money ready, and that was going to be my plans for this year. But due to everything, the hair salons are closed due to the government closing everything. So that was terrible for me. And to get back to what you mentioned earlier about my international with my vendor. So I don't know if everyone knows this. Most vendors for hair companies and a lot of different products are over in China. So in 2018, I was my vendor's number one customer. So I became a VIP customer because with them, I gave them $123,000 that one year. So then my price list changed for me. So now with everything as far as like being on hold and no shipments coming in of hair, everything is pushed back. So that's really messing me up. So I'm not really taking orders right now besides of like what I have on hand. If I have any hair on hand, I will sell it. But as far as taking orders to order like a big bulk of hair, I wouldn't because I don't know when it's going to come. Customs is holding everyone's orders for however long. So, it's just a whole big mix up. So with that, it's very hard, I guess, the fact that this is the downfall of the international, vendor and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. And Josh has been talking about opening up a physical location for about 2 years. And I'm so sorry that when you finally had all of your financing together, that COVID-19 happened. But actually, perhaps it's better that it happened that you were going to open in May rather than if you had already opened where you would have lost probably all of your investment.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And Katherine, do you need me to reread the question or?
No, it's fine. I think a lot of things have stayed the same in the sense that my business was online and growing a presence on social media is what I've been trying to keep up with. So it's like a balance of how do I not push like all this madness around us. And it's like, okay, well, we can do this or do that. I'm giving the customers an option. Like I interact with them a lot more, I've noticed. Something that has been canceled for me is I had 2 or 3 pop-ups that I was supposed to do in May actually. And once it got extended past the 1st, in New York, we're extended to the 15th. So all my pop-ups have been moved till the fall at best.
So yeah, that's really great for you sharing that. Can you give us an idea of how you're interacting more and how you're interacting more with your customers?
What I started doing more is on Instagram, you have the poll features. So I'll give people a break. It's like, hey, let's do something fun. So sometimes I'll ask something like, are you a dog or a cat person? Or I'll ask like, what do you want me to bring you? Do you want more lounge outfits? Like, because you don't know when you're going to get out the house, or are you ready to get out the house and you want, your summer outfits? Like, what can I bring you that's going to help you?
Great. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry to hear about the pop-ups. I know we've been talking about them since last semester, and I know how excited you were, but I'm sure everything will be just wonderful in the fall. I'd just like to take this time just to recap sort of what these wonderful young entrepreneurs shared so far. We've heard that analysis and being strategic are key, that you need to consider some new brand extensions, especially if you can get them to be digital brand extensions, to focus on your brand image and strategize for what's coming next, maybe what the new normal is like. And then finally, having more direct and robust interactions with your customers to create more brand engagement. I'd like to, at this time, just move on to our second question. It seems like every minute we're inundated with a relentless flood of information about COVID-19. While having access to the latest news is undoubtedly a blessing, it can also be a burden. Information overload is a very real thing that occurs when there's too much, and it is relevant information, but just too much relevant information is being disseminated at the same time. So my question is, how do you deal with the information overload and focus on the work of continuing to build your brand or even maintain your brand? And I'd like to, Katherine, to start us off.
Sure. I think for me, a lot of that involved taking a step back, as people have been saying, because the 2 things that I think there's a lot that's out of our control. So I try to focus on what I can control. And I've been focusing more on short-term goals and long-term. Like in the past, my long-term was like, how can I offer international shipping? How can I expand and offer shoes instead of only clothes and purses, stuff like that. But that's all a mess, obviously. So I've taken a step back, and I'm like, if I'm here in the US, how can I focus on getting that done first? Focusing on what I know and taking things day by day, I think is helpful. Not only to me, but what I'm portraying out for the brand.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then I'd like to ask Josh, do you need me to reread the question?
Please.
Okay. How do you feel with, how do you deal with the information overload and focus on the work of continuing to build your brand or maintaining your brand? In other words, how do you filter out all the COVID-19 that's coming out at us all the time, 24/7, and focus on building your brand?
It's real hard. To be real honest, it's kind of frustrating. So I try to keep my TV off because it seems like every time you turn on the TV, all they talk about is COVID-19, and Trump keeps pushing the date back. So I feel like in a way, a time like this is good for businesses, but also like detrimental to a business because like it seemed like time has stopped. So you have time now to fix everything because nothing else is going on outside. So it's not like your company is falling behind. You have time now to fix things. But like I said, it could also be a bad thing for business because business aren't making any money. So you're not getting paid. I thank God that, to share with you guys, I've had like struggles in the past with my business as far as not making money, but keeping up with my finances and, trying to fix everything. So I thank God now in a time like this, I have money on hand, I have cash on hand. So I'm not really suffering. You get what I'm saying? Trying to be like, oh, I'm not making any money. I mean, it hits me, but it's like, okay, now I could fix things while still having cash on hand and still being able to like understand when everything is over, I have money to still flow and push through my business without having to wait and say, oh, I have to wait like 3 more months before I start making money again in order to do things. You get what I'm saying? So I really try to just focus on other things as far as the brand, building it and everything, working on other things and also schoolwork.
Great.
That keeps my mind off everything too.
Great. And Josh shared with you about his finances. He worked really hard to get his finances aligned, and he obviously did a good job because he was able to pull together and get that money ready for your physical store. That was something that, again, we've been talking about for 2 years. And I want to give a shout out to Professor Delia, who actually helped Josh with some of his finances and also referred him to someone outside when he felt that there was somewhat of a conflict of interest with him being a professor at the school. Thank you very much. And then if I can ask Sydney the same question.
Okay. I agree with Josh. I kind of try to tune it out as much as possible. But it is hard with your job being on social media and seeing it all the time. With photography, like I said earlier, I really, really took it by the horns and just figured out what I could do to still be able to keep my business relevant. And, it's a weird time, and people are very emotional and, different things. So it's like, you just kind of have to understand where everybody's coming from, like different people are coming from. And, some people with the photography business were like, yeah, we saw your ad, we're not going to do that. And I was like, that's totally fine. Everybody has their different views, but I just deal with it by being respectful of those views. Let's see, what's the other question? Focus on overload, focus on the work of continuing to build your brand and maintaining your brand. That's what I did for the photography aspect. For the social media aspect, I tried to make it a little humorous, not in the fact of, that it's terrible what's going on, but I did a video that actually went viral as well. And as a photographer and social media influencer, your job is to entertain. Your job is to create content that people love to see and that's engaging and all those different things. So I made a skit of, 2040 comes around. Your daughter asks you, hey, Mom, I have a project. Can you help me? And the mom's like, yeah, honey, like, what's the project about? And the daughter's like, COVID-19. And the mom has a flashback of how everything changed in the world and these things. And people loved it, because it's like you're taking such a dark moment and such a hard time and, allowing people to be like, you know what, like, we're going to be like this in the future. And, so I really like to make light of different situations. And also with the photography, I just really tried to cater to what people needed, and was understanding of it's a pandemic going on. People clearly may not want to be out at all, so just understanding different views. And also one more thing, I take a lot as a creative, I take negatives and they motivate me to do better. So it sounds weird, but when I did creative photography back in the day, heartbreak was something that really motivated me to create content. For this now, I was like, you know what? People really need something to cheer them up. So let me push really hard to try to promote this. So just take these bad situations and really try to figure out, like, what is it that I could do to turn somebody's day around, or to make somebody's life a little bit easier, if that makes sense. But
no, that's wonderful, and thank you for sharing that. That's all like really important. I love the positivity message there. I think it goes along with your positivity and inclusivity of your brand. That's really your brand mission. And I'd like to ask Daniel, do you need me to reread the question?
No, it's perfectly fine. So how Colorway has been dealing with the news, it's we personally been like taking back and not really reading in too much into the news. We try to keep everyone in contact with each other. So since it's just all four of us, we're like a family. Like we grew up together in the same town since like preschool, elementary, and everything like that. So we try to keep in contact. How you doing? How's your family doing? How you feeling? Is your health okay? How are you mentally? How are you dealing with this, staying inside? How's schooling? So we try to keep in contact that way, just for mental health, and have everyone on the same level, and having everyone reach out to each other, and just having an ear if anyone has a problem during this time for all four of us. So that's how Colorway been, just a mental health aspect and a health aspect, just to keep everyone at bay and keep it pushing and keep it moving forward. But in terms of production, we've set up roles individually of what we can do to enhance and advance Colorway. So one day I would do new graphic designs for new clothing, and just pitch it out to all three of my friends, see what they like. Do you guys like this? Can you put this on a t-shirt? And just give feedback there, here and there. And just providing new ideas and everything like that for Colorway in terms of production.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much, Daniel. And I love the concept of your co-founders as your family.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
they're my brothers.
That's great. I love to just take a few seconds and just recap kind of some of the thoughts that they shared. So most of them are saying that they need to tune it out, kind of filter out all of the bad stuff, all the continual COVID-19, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, and really focus on positivity, focus on getting your finances in order, really treating this as an inflection point in your business, building customer and brand engagement. And obviously, if you have co-founders, they can be your bedrock of support there, and treating them as family, but also using this time to work out new and creative ideas. So thank you very much. For our third question, small business owners and entrepreneurs are dealing with a million concerns right now, just like we all are. But then they have the added concerns about their business. And it's difficult to know where to prioritize your time and resources. One way to choose is to consider what is truly important to your business. So what I'd like to ask, and I'd like to start with Josh, is how are you prioritizing your time and other resources?
With my time, I try to spend it. Well, I said, like, schoolwork takes up a lot of my time, trying to catch up on everything and get everything right. So it keeps my mind off the business at certain times. But then again, you always think about the business, because it's your business. That's your way you make your money. And at a time like this, you start to think, like, will business be the same when everything opens back up? And it's like, you don't want to worry too much on it. So that's why I try to focus, like I said, just more on pulling back and just focus on building a brand. So then that wouldn't be a concern on my end, saying maybe I didn't perform enough, maybe I didn't do enough, and prioritize my time now that I have away from everyone to work on the business. So I try really like to just, like I said, do my schoolwork and then add little things that I've been meaning to do. Because, you know, you always have things on the side that you wanted to add to the business, but you procrastinate. And that's why I said now everything is stopped. It's like time has stopped. It's the perfect time now to add everything in, to do everything. So I think
great. So I definitely hear that. So I like, we're on a webinar that's being sponsored by a college, right? By St. Francis. It's good that you're saying that you want to prioritize your schoolwork, right? Shout out for that. And definitely hearing that you want to continue to build your brand. Thank you very much. I'd like to move on to the third question for Sydney. Do you need me to reread the question?
No, I am good. I agree with Josh. Like, this is the perfect time to really just, like, as entrepreneurs, our businesses are like our babies. They're our children. Like, we love them. We eat, sleep, and breathe our businesses. So this is the perfect time to just kind of slow down. And again, like I said, for the first question, just really analyze where you want to be. I find that making a routine, I feel like a lot of people agree with this, especially during now, having a routine for your days, and making a schedule of your days, because I know, again, being a serial entrepreneur, like, you have this that's due at this time, you have to send these people their pictures, you have a photo shoot at this time, you have to go to this photo shoot. So it's all of these different things. So I've been able to prioritize my life as well, and just make a schedule to kind of to make it a little bit easier to keep everything in order. And for resources, I might talk about this a little bit more in the last question, but I outsource. Like I said, for my introduction, I outsource for hair and makeup. So, I have to be very understanding, because for a lot of these hair and makeup artists, I'm the person that has started up their business for them. So I have to, and a lot of people now are not wanting hair and makeup because it's somebody that's in your face, and so I have to prioritize, okay, how can I allow them, because there's a type, like Daniel was saying, when you work with people, you have this connection and this bond with them. So I don't want it to get to the point where, they're not being promoted or they're not having any exposure now. And then when time comes for people to start booking, they're like, oh, you have a hair and makeup artist? I didn't even know about that. Like, I want to make sure that I'm planning for, and promoting them now, so that they have the opportunity to be able to make money when the time comes for them to shine through the business again.
Perfect. I love that. So I loved your analogy about your business as a baby. And I can just see, right now the business has to be put in some sort of an incubator, right, to nurture it a little bit, right, because we're having a little bit of problems. And love the idea about scheduling. And I really love the idea that you're thinking about your partners as really a key resource for you. Certainly going forward, who wants to have a photo without, great hair and great makeup? But if they don't know about it because you haven't talked about it, how are they going to know you offer it?
Exactly.
Really, really excellent. Thank you so much. And not last but not least, Katherine, do you need me to reread the question?
No, I'm okay. I agree with Josh about, like, what I used to put off, I have more time to do now, in a way, like, even if it's balancing school and family. I'm a big fan of listing things. So I used to have like 1,000 Post-its out on my desk, and every time I got an idea, I would write it down, and I'm like, when I get to it, I get to it. So one of the things I did, like, when this all started, is I put them all together, and I'm like, okay, this I can take care of maybe this week or next week, seeing what I can get done easier, or what I know I can get done in this time being at home. When I had all these pop-up shops that I thought were going to happen, I had to sort of think about, even if the lockdown wouldn't get extended, I was worried about, my setup, what it would be like there. Like, I needed mannequins, I needed clothing racks. Whereas now it's like, okay, I can focus more on, if my vendors send me new arrivals every day, where in the past I might have seen it once or twice a week. Now I can really take like 10 minutes in the morning and see, oh, do I need to restock this because somebody asked me for it, or because I think they'll like it if I offer it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I accidentally skipped Daniel. He's
okay.
sitting there saying, wait a minute, she told me I was third. What's going on?
It's
Daniel, do you
okay.
need me to reread the question?
No, it's fine. It's fine. How Colorways has been dealing with our time is we're focusing on just finishing out our last drop, which is just uh, selling our last set of windbreakers, selling our last set of water bottles, and then just dialing back and trying to create new ideas for our new job after this. So right now, it's just selling everything out and pushing it out to the people. But on the other hand, is also building our social media presence. So like I said, that's with Colorway Radio, Colorway Blog, and other aspects and forums that we want to build up as well too. So we've been just focusing on that and just building up our brand that way.
Great, thank you very much. So I just want to take a couple of seconds just again to recap how they've answered this question. So what I think consistent is that you all are focusing, your primary focus is on building your brand or expanding your brands. I love what Sydney said about all your businesses being your babies and about needing to nurture them right now. You all talked about scheduling, making to-do lists. You all talked about having actually more time to focus on those priorities that maybe in the past you weren't able to focus on as much because of everything that was so busy. Again, as Josh mentioned previously, like you're kind of frozen, so you're able to concentrate. And I think you all did a great job answering that question, and I really thank you for that. And I'd like to move on to our fourth and final question. Just, for most entrepreneurs and small business owners, are people. And I've been a serial entrepreneur for the last 25 years, but our people are very important to the success of our brand. And when I say our people, what I really mean is they might include employees. Some of you may or may not have those employees. They could be customers, the people, vendors, partners, or co-founders. Those are all your people. And I'd like to, sorry to do back-to-back, but I'd like to start up, Daniel. And
Okay.
The question is, how are you keeping connected to your people?
Right.
And how those relationships changed?
Not necessarily. Like I said in the past question, me and my partners just try to FaceTime every once out of the week or every other week. Usually have a group chat. We text every now and then, sharing ideas, sharing what we've been going through, and just building our relationship that way since we can't see each other physically. So our relationship has been, it's been cool. It's been very, stable, and just we try to reach out almost every other week or one time a week.
Mm-hmm. So really, okay, it's definitely for more brand engagement. Great, thank you so much. And can we move on to Katherine? Do you need me to reread the question for you?
No, it's okay. So like I said in the past, working on building more customer relationships on social media, which someone asked for the Instagram. It's at Department Dyubo, my last name, D as in David, Y-U, B as in boy, O. And focusing on how I can keep the money like in our own economy. So my first order, which was almost a year ago, probably would have been, it was a vendor from China as well. But with all this going on, I've been able to find way more in the US. And I actually started working with one last week who I haven't placed my order with yet, but I'm really excited about the stuff coming in. And a majority of it is coming from the West Coast. So that's exciting. And then I'm my only employee, so to speak, but I get a lot of support like from my friends and family, like just sharing things on social media, like reposting a post or, they're like, hey, go check this out. So nothing has changed that much, just, finding my new vendors.
So that's great. Thank you very much. I love the idea that you're focusing your supply chain on made in the USA, certainly to help revive our economy. Thank you very much. And I'd like to move on to Josh. Do you need me to reread the question?
No, it's fine. There's no change relationships. At first everything was like very overwhelming, like to grasp in, but lately I've been trying, I used to speak to my vendor every single night because our nighttime is their morning. So I speak to her every night. Now I speak to her about twice a week just to check in, making sure everything is good over there. They're staying safe, and they haven't sent me any hair, but they sent me masks, to keep me safe. And that just shows that they care. yeah, that just shows that they care about me. So I took that idea of them sending me masks as me now extending my relationship with my own customers and creating a care package for them. So what I've been doing is trying to gather things like to send out to different customers. You know, I have everyone's contacts in my phone, so I'll just look up the address and send them a care package and letting them know that JD Bundles is still here. You know, I send them hand sanitizer, mask, eyelashes, and different stuff. You know, maybe give them a discount code for when everything is over. And I also send it to my ambassadors because I have 3 ambassadors for my company. So I check up on them daily, you know, to see how's everything with their family and everything. Because actually, one of my ambassadors, 2 of her uncles had COVID-19 and her dad. So,
Oh, wow.
you know, yeah. So I felt like, you know, me reaching out to her was like, you know, a big help. Give her opportunity if she didn't have anyone to talk to. She was able to talk to me, and you know, just personalize all my relationships at a time like this with everyone around me, including my vendor, my ambassadors, and like I said, my customers. I'll be sending out care packages, so stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's really genius, and I'm glad that you know that your supplier is concerned. He and she is also probably thinking the same thing. How do I keep my connections with my customers? But I love that you leveraged it and used it to apply to your customers. I think that's really really smart, and I thank you for sharing that. And I'd like to finish up with Sydney. Do you need me to reread the question? And I think you have some other exciting news.
Oh, the exciting news was the Shade Room post. That was it. But I do agree with I do a lot of similar, I guess, approaches that Josh is taking. In the photography world, it's, you know, you have a social media presence, but it's mostly word of mouth advertising. So I've noticed, you know, I really wanted to make sure that I checked in with all of my customers. And when I did, I, you know, realized that it created a connection, more of a connection where people were like, wow, we forgot she moved back to Texas. Like, you know, so every person that I did a shoot with within the past, I want to say 2 years, I spent the whole day emailing them, just saying, hey, it's Sydney. You know, I know with everything that's going on, just letting you know, like, if you need anything, let me know, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people really reacted well to that. And they were like, okay, she's still here. Can we book you for next year's Thanksgiving pictures? Can we book you for Christmas pictures now? So it kind of just rung that light bulb in their head. And so I also did a discount as well. And told people, if you book now, I'll make sure to get you a discounted mini session when things open up again. And so with social media, connection has really been the same because, again, everything is online, everything's digital. As an influencer for each brand you work with, I have about, I want to say 10 consistent brands that I have under my belt now. So it's all through email. You have a rep, you know, you send them your email of what you want. You send them emails to negotiate, all of those different things. So that hasn't changed, but really the relationship I feel now that I have with my followers has just been tremendous because, you know, a lot of people say on social media, oh, everything's fake, blah, blah, blah. And people know that in their head. So when people go on social media and they see someone, for example, I had a breakdown the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And I told my followers, and the amount of DMs, I think I actually posted it yesterday. It might still be on my story. But I told my followers, you know, I woke up with anxiety today. I don't know what to do. And so many people DM me like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you talked about this because I've been going through the same exact thing. And it's like people, you know, have that connection and it's like that realness with somebody. So it's, you know, it's done really well. Just being real with people, checking in with people, letting people know that you're still there. And yeah, that's basically it for that.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing about how you were emotionally, you know, were connected with your followers. I mean, that's incredible because usually when I think of social media, it seems very trite and personal. And then it seemed to be very personal, which I think is really a testament to the quality of an influencer you are. So I just want to recap what some of our feelings about question 4 from our young entrepreneurs. So what I'm hearing is that what's really important is that you're ramping up that customer engagement, having personalization of that customer engagement, that you're also keeping up your vendor relationships, and even going out and offering for your key customers discount codes or care packages, and then also rethinking where you're buying, certainly to develop relationships with US-based manufacturers is really great. But really, I think my key takeaway is all about personalization and keeping those real, like maintaining real human relationships with all the people. So I like to finish just with, I'm going to put 3 of you on the spot. Katherine, you're lucky you didn't take this class with me, but the other 3 did. They're like, oh no. So we often talked in our marketing and innovation class about failing forward. In other words, learning from your failures. Or in this case, it's not really a failure, it's really a bad time. How do you think, or maybe I will include Katherine, she's a smart girl, we'll include her in this. How do you think that what is going to be your biggest takeaway from this bad time? And we'll start with Josh.
Biggest takeaway.
I'm putting them on the spot, so.
My biggest, me personally, my biggest takeaway at a time like this is just that anything can happen at any moment. You never know in business. And this was a shocker to all of us. I know everyone had high hopes for 2020 as far as just what we wanted to do in life, not just in business. So I just want to say, like, anything can happen at any moment. So be prepared at all times. Like I said, in the past, I struggled with my finances, but at least keeping them intact. So this would have been a bad time for me. If I would have never had any money, I would have been like, oh man, I'm broke in a way, So yeah, anything can happen at any time. Be prepared at all times. As hard as it is, try to save money, just put money to the side here and there for bad times, for rainy days, for your business. Maybe not personal uses, but just in case anything happens with your business. And
great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you so much. And Sydney or Daniel, which one would like to answer that next?
Sydney, you can go.
Okay. I definitely think that taking risks is something that I learned. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you should always take risks. That's one of the first things I think you learn in your entrepreneurship class. But as time goes on, you kind of get a little bit comfortable with what you're doing. And for me, I was super comfortable in what I was doing, and it showed in my engagement on social media. It showed in the amount of bookings I was getting. And so, taking risks can really put you ahead. And also, like, I was dealing with this, you look at everybody else and you look at what they're doing, and, some people may be like doing great and popping off because of what they're doing. But I learned to focus on me and not what everybody else is doing and everybody else's business is doing and how they're going, just to focus on me and, focus on the growth that I really, really genuinely want for myself.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Daniel, what do you say? What would you say?
I would say the same thing, taking risk, and going outside of the box that you originally created for your business, and trying new things, trying new aspects, because with those risks, you never know what they could lead to and what they can extend to. So it's good to create new avenues and new ways of expanding your business than the original one that you created, because you can get comfortable in that original creation and it can start to become stagnant. And then with situations that are just like COVID that are out of the blue, or something out of the blue can happen, then you don't have another creation that you can bounce off of or lean towards or go towards. So getting out of your original box that you created is something that, I picked up from here.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Katherine, would you want to share what your biggest takeaway is from this COVID crisis in terms of your business?
I actually was going to say the same thing, and experimenting and trying new things, because even when I thought I had a vision for the brand, I've done a lot of different things during this time than I would have ever thought I would do. So yeah, you can't be afraid of the changes you're going to take, because they're going to come one way or another.
Okay, great. So I just want to recap what these young entrepreneurs said. So what I'm hearing is risk management and risk assessment has really become more priority, but also thinking out of the box, being more of an out of the box thinker, and kind of reviving their creativity. So I think that's wonderful, and I really, again, I applaud you for being at this age and maintaining your businesses, certainly during this time. There's never been, in my memory, which I'm much older than you are, and I'm certainly saying in probably the memory of even my mother, that there's ever been this type of worldwide crisis that has impacted us globally. So I really want to think kudos to you for keeping up with your businesses. I think we might have 1 or 2 minutes for questions. Does anyone have a question? Just unmute yourself.
Ida, just before we go to questions, if we can
Okay.
ask everyone, since we're coming to the end, to put your pictures on so we can see each of you. We're going to take a picture at the end of this.
Oh, okay.
And if we can ask those of you who haven't filled in your major and your year, if you can do so in the chat right now, please. Thank you. Okay, back to you, Ida.
Okay. So are there any questions we'd like to ask our panelists, any of our panelists? Just unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Hi, Zoe. How are you?
Hi, everybody. My question is for Sydney. Hey, girl. My question is, what are some do's and don'ts when you pitch yourself to brands?
Okay, amazing question. So a lot of brands kind of have, or I guess influencers have the stigma that we're always trying to get free stuff, free product, all these different things. So when sending out a proposal, email, or whatever it is, or approaching someone, you want to highlight what you can do to benefit them. So for example, you have an amazing blog where you highlight, New York, places to go to New York, places to eat. You have a great fashion sense that you highlight on that. So for example, you could say something like, hi, I'm Zoe. I'm a New York blogger. If it's a restaurant that you're wanting to promote, you can say, I absolutely love your food, and I feel like my followers would appreciate it as well. And include your statistics. You want to make sure, or your analytics, make sure you include your following, your growth rate, what you feel like your followers are more into, and just, because honestly, that's what it is. You're going to get free stuff, but you want to try your best to really just put out there how you marketing this product for them is going to benefit them. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So, be very appreciative of what they have and tell them how you can add value to their business or company.
Great. Excellent. I mean, Zoe, that was a great question, and that was an incredible answer. And actually that, I'm going to actually hit up Sydney later because I've been thinking about this. We should have a webinar for how to be an influencer, because a lot of our students are like, how do I become an influencer? And I always reference Sydney, and then also Professor Segaris, who is an influencer in the craft community, the crafting and knitting community. She's actually very well known. She doesn't really share that much, but she's very well known, as well known as Sydney. Sydney, who's had a number of brands supporting her. So hopefully maybe we can get those two together for a webinar and talk about how you can become an influencer.
Can we please add the craft professor's Twitter handle and Instagram handle?
Sure. Actually, we will have to do that, not on the chat because I don't have it, but we will do it as a follow-up at email. I apologize.
Yes, thank you.
She is the underground crafter. We'll add that. Underground crafter is what her nom de pair is. But I'm sure you can find her there. Is there additional questions? Additional questions for any of our panelists? Okay, I think we're done then. Thank you so much to everyone.
I actually do have one more. I have one question.
Sure.
I hear that the entrepreneurs all have all this time and opportunity to analyze their performance. And I just would like to know what are some key areas that they are focusing on specifically.
Any of you want to address that?
Particularly in finance. I'm an accountant major, so what are you doing? Like, how are you reviewing your financials, and how is analyzing your financials helping your growth rates and such?
I have an answer. One thing that I've seen is that since I've actually had an increase in sales since we're an online business, I have more of a budget to allow for advertising, because the more you put into it, the higher return you can see, if that helps a little bit. But other numbers I haven't been focusing like on finance. It's just sales and ads. Other than that, it's measuring, social media growth.
Thank you.
For me, it's paid per post. So like I said earlier, a lot of brands dropped me when the quarantine started, or I guess Corona started. So now it's just analyzing, okay, how much was I making last month compared to how much I'm making this month and how much I'm projected to make next month. And I also feel like with the photography business, I have a lot of subscriptions. So I have a subscription for my website where people are able to download their photos from. I have insurance on my photography equipment. I have insurance on a lot of the equipment that I have at my studio here, at my house. But it's like all of these different things money-wise. I just have to, how I'm analyzing it is I'm seeing how much, last month or the month before that, before any of this happened, how much I was doing well then, because it was pretty consistent for a while, and like kind of writing down, okay, what do I need to do, or how in any way possible could I get back to that point or even do better. So I think it's just breaking down those things and comparing it and figuring out strategy on how to increase it in the future.
With a increase on like the importance of online presence and an increase in online sales, do you all see your projections increasing rather than actually fearing your projections?
Could you repeat it one more time?
My question is, with a increase in the importance of having an online presence and remote services, do you think that your projections are going to increase in the seasons to come?
Okay.
Are you seeing it more as an opportunity?
Yeah. So is anybody here on TikTok?
Yes.
Anybody? Okay. So within the past, since COVID happened, the amount of users on TikTok have probably quadrupled. So that's a really good thing for the social media influencer world and that type of community, because it's like, wow, people are bored. People don't have stuff to do. People don't have jobs. We can post at any time. So it's like now this is a good thing. And I feel like in the future, people are going to, be exposed to TikTok or Instagram that normally aren't, and kind of understand it a little bit more and be like, you know what, this is actually really fun. Me, I wasn't really on TikTok until this happened, and literally majority of my videos have gone viral from it. So it's like people have to I feel like people were forced to, be online and do digital things. So for us, since we do it online, I feel like it's going to be a really good benefit, because people that weren't necessarily comfortable on social media or online are kind of forced to be right now.
Thank you.
I think you all did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. We're already at 1:37 p.m. You guys were like really incredible panelists and some really relevant and interesting questions. And I want to thank everyone. And Antonivia, do you want to finish up about SFC Innovate or?
Sure. Thank you so much. This has really been a wonderful, wonderful panel. Thank you for all. Thank you to all of the panelists and to all of the great questions from our students. We wanted to thank you in general for the entire entrepreneurship. The Entrepreneurship in Crisis series. Thank you for the Center for Entrepreneurship for collaborating with us. And we wanted everyone to know, so everyone's information is going to be included in a follow-up email through Eventbrite to you. So everyone's IG's handle on the panelists. We also want to let you know that we'll be sending a follow-up survey for you to do. And if you do it, you'll be entered to win an Amazon raffle, because I know Amazon is where it's at for most people right now. So please take the time to fill out the survey. It's going to be very short, but it'll be very helpful for us in the long run. And it will span the series of webinars that we've done to date. So thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to having many more of these.
I have just one more announcement, and it involves actually a few of our panelists. This particular semester, we were holding a first all school-wide fashion show with all of our entrepreneurs who were involved in fashion, and we were also hosting a pop-up. Those have been moved to the fall. Josh is one of the coordinators of the fashion show and the pop-up, and Daniel and Katherine were participating in both. So you'll be hearing more information about what we'll be doing in the fall. So thank you.